Download files are literally anything that can be downloaded into someone's computer or opened up in an iframe or a self-contained window within the environment. So whatever it is you're trying to load, go ahead and browse for it as usual. And same thing, you're going to browse for the file, click upload, trigger the upload process. For download files, you will need to specify the target. So that is the secondary dropdown that is appearing here. And the target can either be normal or iframe. Now, target simply means how do you want this file to open up in the live site? If the target is set to normal, then this file will open up in either a secondary tab in a browser, or it will trigger a download into the person's computer. It will all depend on how that file is set up. If the target is set to iframe, then that file will open up, as I said, in a self-contained iframe or window within the experience. The only difference between these two behaviors is that with target set to normal, the user is being deviated externally to interact with that piece of content because they literally have to take their eyes away from your booth to look at the thing, whether it's in a separate tab or another browser, or they have to open up something that downloaded into their computer. This is an external action, whereas iframe is internal. Everything is seamless, it's self-contained, nothing is opening up externally. They can view whatever it is they're trying to view in that iframe. So that's the difference between these two. How do I know whether to set it to target or iframe? To answer that question, you have to look back at the file that you are trying to load. You need to assess it. Ask yourself, is this file that I'm trying to load a static file or an interactive file? And your answer to that question will then help you determine the appropriate target. So a static file is something where the user is getting the value without really having to do anything. So that's your static PDFs, for example. I'm simply reading it and I'm consuming it. I'm getting my value in that way. I don't have to click anything. I don't have to fill anything out. It's just there in front of me and I'm consuming it. So that's a static file. An interactive file, on the other hand, is something that the user does have to interact with. So there are things to click. There are forms to fill out. This is like your interactive PDFs. An interactive PDF is actually a form-based document. The user has to fill it out. These are things like your templates. If you have a PowerPoint template or an Excel template that you want your users to download and work with, that's an interactive file. So depending on your answer to that question, is this static or interactive, then you can decide the target. If it is a static file, meaning the user doesn't really have to do anything to get the value, then go ahead and set the target to an iframe. Okay, so PDF it to retain the formatting and have it open up in an iframe. The reason why this is actually a best practice to have your docs be as static as possible and to open up in iframes is because this is the most ideal behavior or the most ideal user experience. This is basic psychology. Humans are easily distracted. It's as simple as that. The more that I have external tabs and browsers opening, the more likely I am to get distracted as a user. I don't want that to happen for you. Our goal is for your attendees to stay in your room rather than leave. We want them to stay in and stay engaged. As much as we can have things opening in iframes, nothing is opening up externally. Everything is just there and it's very convenient. If from the iframe, the user wanted to print or download, they can do that easily. Now, of course, you may have files that do warrant a download or that do make sense to open up in a separate tab or browser. That's why I advise you to use your best judgment. If it is an interactive file, then by all means set the target to normal. If you do want to trigger a download or you do need something to open up externally, then set the target to normal. But again, just be sure to assess the file first. As much as you can, if you can have things open in an iframe, that is advised.